Hello everybody and welcome back. In today's video, I will be talking about my mid-year wrap-up. So I've only read about 21 books so far this year, which is pretty good because I think when I started reading in the middle of last year, I don't even think I made it to 21. I can't remember exactly how many I read, but yeah, so I think I'm doing pretty good so far. And this is just the mid-year. This is my first video like this ever. I'm super excited to answer some questions. I know some of them I won't be able to. Like I said, I just got into reading last year, but I'll answer as much as I can. So the first question I have is the best book you've read so far in 2022. That's a little bit hard because out of the 21 books that I read, I think there was a few that were 5 stars. So I think I'm going to say the best I've read so far this year is Daughter of the Pirate King. I had so much fun reading this. I think I was in a book slump kind of sort of, and I picked this up and it was a relatively short read and I knocked it out like a day and a half. I started it in the middle of the night. Well, not even. I started it in the afternoon and I finished it next day. I gave it 5 stars. I seriously enjoyed it. I never read a pirate paranormal romance like this. So it was super new to me and I really enjoyed it. And it put me in a like fantasy paranormal reading mood, and I want to pick up the second book so bad because I don't know why I thought it was only going to be this one book, but now I have to pick up the second one. The next is best sequel you've read so far in 2022, and I don't really know what this question, if it's like best book out of a sequel or like a whole sequel, like best sequel I read. I've read a lot of books this year that are a part of a sequel, but I haven't read all of the books in the sequel. So I guess I would just pick one. I don't know the answer to this one. Okay, so there was actually 2 books that I read in a sequel. One of them I gave like 4.75 stars on, and I read the third book in the series because I wanted to read about that specific couple. So I wouldn't say it's the best because I didn't enjoy the couple I was looking forward to read that much. I had an expectation and it wasn't what I expected, if I'm being honest. But so we'll count it as a sequel I've read so far instead of best, because it's only a sequel of multiple books that I've read. Of multiple books I read in a sequel. I don't know if that'll make any sense. But anyways, I'm just going to count that. It was the Smart Jocks series by Rebecca Genshock. I read The Assist and The Tip-Off. And I have the second book because she was really awesome and she put the first and second book on Kindle for free. So I picked the second one up and I really want to get to read that one. New release you haven't read yet but want to. I know, and I don't remember who the author is, but it's The Bodyguard, and I know it's on Book of the Month. And I've heard a lot of great things about this book. It's a romance and bodyguard romance, but instead it's the female lead who is the bodyguard, and I'm so intrigued and I really want to read that. So yeah, I would count that. Biggest disappointment. This is gonna make some people sad. I'm gonna count 2. I had 2 greatest disappointments so far this year. Okay. So I had 4. I don't know. I had one biggest disappointment, and I'll put the other 3 as like, what is the word? Like second contenders. I don't know what it's called, what the word I'm looking for is. But these were of like popular book talk books, and the number 1 on the list was Beach Reads by Emily Henry. It was the biggest disappointment because I had an expectation towards this book, and I mean, it was okay for what it was, but because I thought it was a vacation beach read, I did not enjoy it because I was at the beach reading it and it did not hit the vibes. It was cute until legit like the middle of the book, where things just went weird for an article that they were doing, and it just wasn't it for me. I wanted to know the conflict that started the book, the reason that whoever the main lead was, I don't remember her name, came to this cabin. But I just gave up because I just got tired of it and I just didn't want to read it. I was just content with all the flirting that happened and I was just ready to drop it. The other 3 contenders on this list, again, they were expectations that I had, and it was not met, and I was disappointed in the end. Though I enjoyed the book for what it was, it just wasn't what I wanted, I guess to say. The first one that I read was Neon Gods, by Katie Roberts. I love Hades and Persephone. I haven't found a Hades and Persephone retelling that I've absolutely loved. I knew this was going to be steamy, but honestly, if we had less sex dungeon and more plot and the characters being together and the political aspect of this book, I would have gave this 5 stars because I love the relationship between Hades and Persephone. I totally get it's an insta love. That's what Hades and Persephone story is. So I didn't mind that. And I didn't mind the sex that was in it. It was just, there was so much sex when I just want character development, and like, I like the ooey gooey stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I like when they're flirting and they're in love, and I just got more sex than anything. And the politics of the story really intrigued me, and I wish we got to see more of that. I think it would have made the anticipation at the end like really there if we knew more about the politics of everything. So yeah, that's my, what is it? I can't even remember words anymore. My quick take of that. That's my take on that. The next one was The Hating Game. I gave this 3 stars. I gave Neon Gods 4 stars because I loved the chemistry between Hades and Persephone, and everything else, it was just the sex dungeon stuff that was just not what I was looking for. But yeah, I read The Hating Game next, and I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars, but it isn't too bad. I don't know what I came in expecting for The Hating Game. I knew it was enemies to lovers, office romance. But I guess to say I hate bully romance. I have not read another bully romance. I know it's in Zodiac Academy, and I've been interested in wanting to read that. But I don't know if I can because I hated this. Maybe spoiler real quick. I'll put a timestamp when I finish talking about it. I hate the I will bully you or make fun of you because I like you. That's super childish to me. I had to deal with it in school. It's a real life thing that I went through, and it's gross, and I hate it. So to see it in the book just made me think how stupid it was. Also, the cringe ending where he was like, oh, look at my blue walls. They're the same color as your eyes. Disgusting. And not in a good way. I hated that so much. It made me absolutely cringe. And it's just because the bully romance was in there and he liked her this whole time but kept being mean to her really just made me so upset, and I couldn't get over it. So I enjoyed the flirtatious banter and such, but those things just really got on my nerves. So that's why I was disappointed by all the hype. And then this is what I got. The other disappointment, I guess it wasn't a book talk, but it was recommended by this person on BookTube. I cannot remember her name. I think it's Paperback Princess. I love her content. I know she does a lot of like smut reads, and sometimes she does a lot of fantasy, which I love her stuff. I definitely know what's not for me and what is for me, but she mentioned and recommended Drive Me Wild by Melanie Harlow, which I've heard a lot of good stuff about. Melanie's I keep hearing good things about Melanie's books, and I love small town romances. I also don't mind insta romance books. I don't know why, I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. And I really had a fun time reading this book. The only thing that bugged me, and it's always going to be, I guess, the sex is what bugs me in some books. The thing that bugged me about this book was the role-playing. There was role-playing sexy scenes in this, and I just wasn't, it made me super uncomfortable, and it just wasn't for me. I need to stop saying and then I stopped saying it, I can't talk. Okay. I enjoyed everything else. I loved the characters in these. Of course, it's fast-paced because it's insta romance. But I really enjoyed the book. Oh my goodness. I gave it 3.5 stars too. I enjoyed it. It wasn't too bad. Oh my goodness, I need to stop saying I literally had speech class, and you are not allowed to say and and that's what I keep doing. Oh my goodness. Just gets you like time to think. Yes, so I enjoyed Drive Me Wild. I enjoyed the characters, the romance in it, the angst in it a bit. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was just the sexy scenes that it just put me off. I was just like, oh, I can't. It feels like I'm a voyeur watching this, and I'm like, no, I can't. It's not for me. But I did enjoy the book. Just a bit disappointed because I had higher expectations. I need to stop putting my expectations so high, I guess. So, yes, those were my honorable mentions. That was the word I was looking for. Oh my goodness, I need to hurry before my battery runs out. Biggest surprise. Oh my goodness, what is the biggest surprise? Okay, I think my biggest surprise was Unhinged by Only James. I heard this from another booktuber, and just the premise of it made me really interested. I'm not gonna lie, I liked Dexter, but when he was about to get caught, I stopped watching it. I love Criminal Minds. I like the ID channel. And this had male romance, and I was down for it. So I read it, and to my surprise, I freaking loved it. I also really like psychology. I took a psychology class in college that was a mandatory class for a program I'm wanting to apply for. And I loved psychology class. I found it so interesting and absolutely loved it. So I knew a few things psychologically going into this book, and it did talk about a few of those things, and it made it realistic to me because it mentioned it and I knew what it was, and it gave the perfect example on there. I do have to say this is a very, very trigger warning book. This involves childhood abuse and essay on children. It was horrible, but when you get the story, you kind of want all the bad guys to be killed in the worst way. And what's the perfect way than a bunch of serial killer brothers? So, absolutely loved it. I loved that both of the characters were flawed, and we got to see the development between them, even though one of them couldn't really feel love, but I absolutely enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by this book. The next question is favorite new author. I haven't read books by the same, I haven't read multiple books by the same author, so I don't really know an author's writing style. But because I thoroughly enjoyed Daughter of the Pirate King, I'd have to say Trisha Lemonseller. I do enjoy Emily Henry's writing. It's just some things drag along. I can kind of see what her writing style is. I want to read more of her stuff. I don't know. I don't know who would be my favorite. I just don't think I've read enough to say who's my definite favorite author. I hope to read more books by the same authors that I hope to read books by the same authors whose books I've already read and enjoyed. I do have a few books by the same author, but I just haven't gotten to them yet. So I hope to one day actually have a absolute favorite. New fictional crush. I definitely have to say, quick disclaimer, I've never had a book boyfriend. When I read books in middle school, and then when I just got back into reading, I never really had a book boyfriend. But now I do. And he's my first. And it's Max from The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. Legit, I want him for my own. Like, what was her name? Lena. Lena didn't even want him in the beginning, and I was like, I will take him from you if you don't want him. Can I have him, please? Like, what really got me was when he was looking at her lovingly while she was scarfing down food, and I'm just like, I want that. Can I have that, please? And I think also we just had the same sense of humor, and I super enjoyed him. I super enjoyed like his humor and his personality and his jokes. Yes, the sexy scene was a little bit cringe the first time. Not gonna lie, that happened. But I can get past to it. We can change him. We can change that, okay? So yeah, Max is my book boyfriend now. I'm happy to be a part of the book boyfriend crew. I'm glad that we can all agree that he's mine and mine alone. Thank you. Okay, and then next is newest favorite character. So I just finished reading The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and we'll get to that book. Let me not go off, but I really enjoyed that book. But I have to say my favorite character ever is Lucy. He is a sassy 6-year-old who talks about death a lot, and like, he's just so hilarious and cute. And like, yeah, you're gonna have to keep your eyes awake. You're gonna have to keep your eyes open at night because he might just you, but I'd adopt him. He was so freaking hilarious. I loved him. I loved Lucy and I loved Talia. So between those two, instant adoption because I love them so much, especially together. I know they would like destroy the world together, but I'm here for it. I would support that. So yeah, Lucy's my favorite character, and Talia comes in second because I love Talia. Book that made me cry. And now the only book that made me cry was Love and Other Words I think if you read it, you would know what scene. I know that some people didn't cry, some people did. But anything with spoiler, here. Skip to here. Anything where like a loved one dies, especially like a parent or like somebody old who you've gotten to know, I just cry. That's a me thing. So yeah, I teared up. It was really sad, and It didn't make me understand everything that happened in that book, but that scene did make me cry, I will admit. Next question is book that made you happy. Now, maybe because I just finished reading it, but it is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I know I just mentioned a favorite character, but I just love this book so much. I told you I was going to wait to go off tangent, and now I'm going to go off tangent. I love the book so much. It was so magical. Legit, to me, it felt like a magically gay Ghibli movie. Yes. Now it's intriguing you to read it, and I urge you to read this book. I loved it so much. I just loved how modern and magical it was. It had magical elements, but in real life. I loved how the story was written, and I love that you got to see like this corporate side of like foster care and the work case employees, and just how this safe place for magical children just doesn't seem like it, with how white and dreary the scenes are described to you, until we finally make it to the house on the Cerulean Sea, and it's absolutely magical. And of course we get a lot of we get to know these characters, and I loved all these great characters. I loved all the kids. I loved the romance, and I love that the romance was still there, but the story was really about these magical kids and these grown-ups and kids and who are magical beings in the adoption and in foster care, because nobody's going to adopt them because nobody even knows that they exist. And you kind of get the prejudice that people have against these kids and adults, and what's their future going to look like when they age out of the foster system. And I kind of think it kind of and I also sort of think it speaks to actual real life foster children. And I really loved that aspect. And I loved how just amazing this world was, and how beautiful, even though it was just the real world, just with magical elements. So yes, this made me so happy. I love Ghibli movies, and this is what it reminded me of. So yeah, I had so much fun reading them. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year, or received. I haven't received a book. I keep buying books for myself. I've tried to stop myself, but it only grows by the day, unfortunately. But it does say only this year, and I made sure that these two books are what I purchased this year. And I have to say, yes, I did choose two. I couldn't pick one. But these are, to me, like really beautiful covers. So the first one, which I bought in January of this year, it is Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Yes, it's Dark Rise. And just look how beautiful this cover is. The illustration of this character and the background and the gold lettering to this book. It's just so pretty to me. And actually this book I got from Pango Books. And I'm so excited to have this in my hands. Now, the next book that I got from Book Outlet, actually, is Defy the Night. I really enjoy the colors in this illustration. Sorry, I keep trying to hold it correctly so that you guys can see. And then it's opened, like the illustration is in a silhouette of a flower. And then there's flowers around the title. And just look at the, oh my goodness. And the title is holographic, I think. So now you get all these colors, and it's so pretty. So yeah, these are my two pretty books. And of course, they're hardcover. And the last question for this mid-year wrap-up is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I'm going to be honest, at least half of my bookshelf. This is all my TBR. It just keeps growing by the day, and it needs to stop. I need to at least get through half of this bookshelf, honestly. My historical romance shelf right here is full. So is, my contemporary romance is getting full. There's also some sapphic and gay romance in there as well, but it's just growing. It's piling. That's getting full. Everything's getting full, and I need space for other new books that I want to get. And I just need to bulldoze at least half of this bookshelf to get rid of books, because I just have no space. Yes, I do get rid of books that I read. I don't know, if it's not a strong attachment, I don't feel like I need to keep it. I seriously enjoyed The House of the Cerulean Sea, but I just sold it because I need the room, and I don't have a strong attachment to it. I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but yeah, I just don't feel the need to keep books, and that's just me personally. But I hope that the books that I do sell, which this is one of the ones I'm selling on Pango Books, if it's still there, I have people who have wish listed, and I have these two, can you see these two piles right here to sell, making room in my bookshelf because I need it. But yeah, that is my mid-year wrap-up. I'm so excited that I got to do this, because I've been watching a lot of people talk about books that they read in different months. And I just don't read a lot every month, so I liked having to do this at least. But yeah, if you guys want to check out my Goodreads for the other books that I didn't mention, the link is down below. Also, if you want to check out my Instagram, I also post reviews and books that I'm currently reading or have read there as well. And I can't wait to do, is there an end of year wrap up? Because if there is, I'll see you back there. But thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.